Yeah, we back now. Let's jump right into it, man. Last time I was here, I spoke about how the military government in Niger had told the French ambassador, it's time to go home, big man. It's time to go home. And I told you that the French basically was like, we ain't going nowhere, bro. You know what I'm saying? We going to stay right here inside your house, bro. We ain't going nowhere. I know it's your house, but it is what it is, bro. It's our house now, big man. We ain't going nowhere. You're going to have to make us leave. So let's pick up where we left off, man. You know, we got to get into, we got to get back into it. As you can see, take a look up on the screen. Niger orders the French ambassador to leave the country within 48 hours. And then the French ambassador in Niger stays put, defies the military government's deadline to quit the country. Let's jump into the article. The French ambassador to Niger is staying put in the West African country in defiance of an ultimatum by the military rulers ordering his exit within 48 hours back on Friday. The French ambassador was asked to leave by the military government for refusing to attend a meeting scheduled by the foreign minister, including other actions by the French government that are against the interests of Niger, according to the Nigerian foreign ministry last week. French President Emmanuel Macron said on Monday that the ambassador will not leave Niger despite the expiration of the military government's deadline. Now, let's jump into this article. The European Union declares their full support for the French ambassador in Niger amid political turmoil. Now, like I told you, the European Union. Let's run down the countries that are in the European Union so we kind of get an idea of how many nations are standing in solidarity behind this movement. We got Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, and Sweden. Yeah, so those are all the countries that are basically, riding against Niger right now. Those are all the countries that are standing against Niger as we speak. And that's why when it comes to me, brothers, that's why I preach solidarity and unity and camaraderie amongst us, bro. Because as you can see, a large amount of the European nations are standing together. And, France is a NATO country. So if you attack a NATO country, that's also equivalent to attacking all NATO countries. You touch one, you touch them all. So, brothers, the opposition, the enemy, they ride together. So it only makes logical sense for us as black men to ride together. Now let's continue. Let's jump into the article. The European Union on Monday expressed its full support for the French ambassador to Niger after the soldiers who seized power in the country demanded his departure. The decision of the military government to expel the French ambassador is a new provocation which cannot in any way help to find a diplomatic solution to the current crisis, said Nabila Masarali, a EU spokeswoman for foreign affairs, adding that the EU does not recognize the authorities that seized power in Niger on July 26. Now, brothers, as you can see, the French basically told the military government in Niger, we ain't going home, big bruh. We ain't going home. I know it's your house. Yeah, I know it's your house and all that, but I know your family lives here, but we ain't going home. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna stay right here in the living room and we're gonna kick our feet up and shit like that. And I'm about to go back in the fridge and go, make a bowl of cereal real quick, That's basically what the French is saying. I know it's your house, but I'm gonna stay here and I'm not gonna go nowhere, and I'm gonna go make some eggs real quick, and if you wanna do something about it, do something about it. Now take a look up on the screen. The military government in Niger has cut the electricity and the water supply to the French embassy after the ambassador refused to leave the country. Let's jump into the article. The order to Nigilec, the power distributor, and the water distributor, Société d'Exploitation des Eaux de Niger, comes days after the military government issued a quit order to the French ambassador. Even though the order was confirmed, the French government said it would not obey the order and asked the ambassador to remain in the capital. The ambassador was given 48 hours to leave the territory, which time frame elapsed on Sunday. Now, we're going to switch gears a little bit, but we still going to remain in the same topic. Take a look up on the screen. India vetoed Algeria's entry into BRICS at the request of France. Let's get into it. Algeria's long-awaited ascension into BRICS failed to materialize last week during the bloc summit in South Africa. Informed sources say that French intelligence contacted their Indian counterparts ahead of the BRICS summit to urge New Delhi into vetoing Algeria's entry into the bloc, describing the move as revenge for Algiers' growing influence in the Sahel at the expense of France and as a way to slow down burgeoning ties between Algeria and China, Tensions between Paris and Algiers spiked after a military government ousted the French-backed government in Niger, in the latest example of a growing anti-West movement in the Sahel. Since then, Algeria opposed an ECOWAS military operation in Niger, emphasizing the role of diplomacy in bringing about a peaceful solution to the crisis, and refused permission for French military aircrafts to fly over Algerian airspace. The French plot took shape in the wake of a failed bid by President Emmanuel Macron to attend the summit in South Africa. India saw an opportunity in the request from France, as officials were reportedly offered Western help to fill the void left in the former French colonies that have recently risen against neo-colonial rule and extend its influence in a vital continent for BRICS. So again, like I told you in the last video, geopolitically, the Sahel is heating up right now. Geopolitically, the Sahel is very hot right now. So France had to get back. I think the head of state over at India, I think he's homeboys with Emmanuel Macron. I think that's Emmanuel Macron's homeboy. So like I told you, when you have a regime that's friendly to your interests, that's the benefit of having a regime that's friendly to your interests. The regime in India currently is friendly to French interests, and I also think they have relationships. I think that India buys military equipment from France, if I'm not mistaken. I think they have somewhat of a solid cooperation and relationship. So that's politics, man. That's politics for you. That's politics. And France is definitely a nation that holds grudges. But anyways, I saw Emmanuel Macron giving a speech either yesterday or sometime today, and I'm gonna jump right into it. I actually have it translated into English, like a voiceover over in English. So I'm gonna play it, and I'm gonna play a clip from another brother, reacting to that, and then I'm gonna give some of my commentary on what he said, and we're gonna get out of here. Run the footage. I'll be right back. Let's go.
We must be clear, consistent. Otherwise, who will listen to us? In which African capital can we say that we have a policy of partnership with a leader if, when he suffers there, we cannot be in support? So I think our policy is the right one. It is based on the courage of President Bazoum, on the commitment of our diplomats, of our ambassador in the field who remains, despite the pressures, despite everything, and despite all the declarations of illegitimate authority, thanks to the commitment of our forces' internal security and our military. Now, we must be clear, we are not committed. We must not give in to a narrative used by the putschistas, which would consist in saying our enemy has become France. The problem for Nigerians today are the putschistas, who are putting them in danger because they are abandoning the fight against terrorism, because they are abandoning a policy that was economically good for them, and they are in the process of losing all the international funding that was enabling them to get out of poverty. That's the reality. If we don't say it with courage, who will say it? So we must pursue this policy firmly, get out of the lies and the facilities. And so our policy is simple. We do not recognize the putschistas. We support a president who has not resigned, alongside whom we remain committed. And we support the diplomatic action, and when it decides, military, of ECOWAS in a partnership approach, which is the one I presented last February. Neither paternalism nor weakness, because otherwise we are nowhere.
Now, I just know that when Macron gave this speech, he just knew that no one had Wi-Fi, internet, cell phones, or computers, because there's no way you tell this many lies in a speech and expect 0 people to call you out your bullshit. But let's go down the list. Now, Macron says the junta is putting Nigerians in danger because they're abandoning the fight against terrorism somehow, because the rest of the world decided they want to sanction Niger to oblivion. And Macron said because of those charitable contributions from the international community, Nigerians were able to pull themselves out of poverty. Bruh, hold up. 25 million people, approximately, live in Niger. And with all that international aid and that bilateral cooperation with France, 10 million of them currently live in extreme poverty. And even though France is basically stealing the uranium out of Niger to provide most of its own electricity, only 14.3% of Nigerians actually have electricity. He says they don't support putschistas or dictators, and a lot of tests came back, and that too is a lie. In fact, they spent most of the 60s, 70s, and the 80s protecting African dictators, specifically in Chad. And one of the dictators they protected so much, Hussein Habri, that man's got brought up on war crimes for crimes against humanity in 2016. But what this really comes down to is the last part, if we're being honest. He's trying to justify France getting involved in a war with Niger. The problem is, if Niger attacks France in response, they are attacking a NATO nation, which means they now would have to deal with ECOWAS, France, NATO, and all hell can break loose. And the wildest part about all this is, this could all be avoided. All the violence can be avoided because all Niger wants is to be treated fairly. They just want to make sure that their resources are being used to their benefit as much as it's being used to the benefit of everyone else. What France, ECOWAS, NATO, and their allies would rather literally kill people than to allow an African nation to reach its full potential.
Now, the paternalistic tone which you see Emmanuel Macron speaking with, this is common amongst these Western boys, man. Amongst these Western boys. No different than how their ancestors spoke to our forefathers, you know. Going back to the Berlin Conference, when they said, you know, the European conquest of Africa, that was a civilization mission, you know. We were bringing civilization to the uncivilized nations, right? That's what it was. That's what it was framed as, a benefit to black men. It was actually a benefit. You know, you being colonized, they frame it as a benefit. Just like we had the conversation a few weeks back, because I think Ron DeSantis, he was putting inside the curriculum how there was benefits, alleged benefits to slavery, because the slaves, they got to learn certain trades. They got to learn blacksmithing and all this crap. They got to learn, you know, it was benefits to slavery. They always make it seem like it was a benefit, you know. Oh, well, you know, look on the bright side, you know, at least you're not back in Africa. So it was a bright side. It was a silver lining. It was a benefit. So in this speech, Emmanuel Macron is basically saying French involvement in African politics, French involvement in the internal affairs of African nations, that's actually a benefit to African nations, because he said that these economic policies were helping to bring Nigerians out of poverty, right? And without France, now you're going to be in danger. You need us to stay safe. We need to stay around, because without us, you're not going to be able to keep yourself safe. Without us, you're abandoning the fight against terrorism. Without us, you're not going to be able to bring your people out of poverty. You need us. You need us. You need the Western world. Without the Western world, you are nothing by yourself. That is the tone in which these Western boys, they talk to our people, man. That's how they view our people. They don't respect our people. They don't respect us at all until we make them respect us. Period, point blank. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it. You know, like I said, same old, man. They always frame the argument or the situation as if we are the ones that are benefiting, right? It's to our best interest to remain under the subjugation of the Europeans. That's how they always frame the argument. And it's been framed this way for over a century straight, man. They've been running the same goddamn playbook. And the reason why they do this, I mean, it's various reasons. Number one, the moral justification. If you notice towards the end, he had mentioned that France would be willing to assist ECOWAS in any military intervention against Niger, right? He claims that, oh, we want to bring the people out of poverty and keep them safe. But at the same time, in the same speech, talking out both sides of his mouth, he's ready to mobilize for war against the nation. But he wants to keep the nation safe, though. Man, I'm telling you what, these Western boys, man, boy, I tell you, these Western boys, man. Listen, so number one, they frame the argument this way because it provides the moral justification. Going back to what I said during the Berlin Conference, in order to justify this, they said we were bringing civilization to the uncivilized nations, right? So they portray their actions as if they are bringing progress or development, when in reality, they're exploiting the people. They're exploiting the population, but they try to make it seem that you are the one that is benefiting. Just like a few weeks ago when the Republicans were trying to make it seem as if there were benefits to slavery, when in reality, the only people that truly benefited was the white boys that was counting up the goddamn money, right? That's all. That's the only people that really benefited. That's the only people that truly benefited. But they always make it seem as if you are the one that is benefiting from Western exploitation. They always make it seem like you are the one that is benefiting from your current subjugation. It doesn't make any sense, man. It doesn't make any sense. And I can't believe they're still running the same bullshit narrative in the modern day. But anyways, man, I'm not gonna stay here too long, man. You know, I already spoke my mind. Anyways, it's your boy Neferkari, that's Celine back in the building. Yes, indeed. Cash out up on the screen, and I'm gone. Peace.
Reincarnated, I'm back in original fashion. I left on a horse.
and came back in that ass, and I left with abundance and came back to famine. We used to be pyramids, now we be rapping. Look how the mighty have fallen. Used to be running, now we be walking. When you be cooning, that's when they applaud it. Selling your soul, your sons and your daughter. Gotta come up in this shit, they stuck in the mix. Really, my heart it be breaking. That's why I'm stacking that paper and handle my business. Pass it down in generation. Talking about money and power and building a nation. That's a deadly combination. Never be watching the TV, they pushing agendas, falsifying information. Know they got malice intentions. Step in the room and I'm feeling the tension. Enemy watching, he blocking my vision. Get for the check cause I need my redemption. Building my kingdom, I need it protected. Ready for war like a young Money Congo. Never decided the team is the motto. Up in the crib and I'm whipping up waffles. Up in the crib and I'm smoking gelato. I'm chilling, I'm taking my pain and make it ambition. I'm blessed by the gods, but I ain't religious. I came for the power, they came for the bitch. They making no hourly wage. I got business, this shit is an art, and they could never be taught. Selling my soul, I can never be bought. Play with my money, I see you in court. Run to the check and I do it for sport. Babylon falling, I go to the source. Packing my luggage and go overseas. Shorty be with me and she so elite. Shorty be chocolate, I'm calling her Hershey. Secret intelligence probably gon' murk me. Don't fuck with brands, cause nigga I'm Haitian. Say the wrong shit and you're smacking their faces.